Hey guys, it's Jim here, and today I'm going to give my unbiased review on a 2020 Fender Made in Japan traditional Jazzmaster. Now, there are a few things about this that's a little bit different than Jazzmasters from Japan I've played in the past. This one does come with a 9.5 inch radius, not a 7 1/4, which is different. I actually really like it. But outside of that, very vintage appointments. It's got the vintage style trem, love it or leave it. I actually haven't had a problem with it. And the matching headstock, beautiful body, beautiful neck. This guitar just shines, man. This is in such good shape. I really like it. Now, I've had a Jazzmaster myself for 8 years now. Well, 8 years in March. And I've kind of had a love-hate relationship with the guitar. But the one thing I really don't care for on Jazzmasters in general is the bridge pickup. To me, I think it's the 1 meg pots. I've never gotten a really usable tone that I like without having to do major work rolling back the tone on the amp or some other stuff like that. I think that one of the best things you can do if that bothers you is to replace the pots from 1 meg to 500 Ks, and I've had people that have had success doing that. But this guitar is near mint. The only scratches on it are on the pickguard. And that's not even a problem, because it's got the original plastic on it. So if you were to get this guitar, you take the plastic off, you get a fresh pickguard with no scratches on it. Not a ding in sight. This is just, I love this finish. Never had an ocean turquoise guitar. This is very nice. The fun part for me, when I get in new guitars, I don't know what I'm going to want to play when I pick them up. But this guitar, I just really wanted to play Weezer. I have no idea why. It's just what came out. So it's really, really good for that. I love the clean tone of the neck. Again on this, I can't stress it enough. I think it's so good. And with a little bit of dirt, it's pretty good too. And even on the drive, I actually really enjoyed some of that more aggressive surf rock that I was playing on this guitar as well. One thing I really like about Fender Japan is they're still using rosewood, whereas in Mexico they are using palfero wood. Now, I touched on this in a different video, but I personally would much rather prefer rosewood simply because of the aesthetic of it. I think it looks better. I think the darker the slab of wood on a rosewood guitar, it looks infinitely nicer to me than palfero ever would. Another big difference that I noticed on this guitar compared to Vintera that I've tried before is the fretwork. This guitar, the fretwork on it is what you would expect from a higher end American guitar from Fender. Like, it's absolutely on par with the American Professional 2 as far as fretwork and just the way the neck just feels in your hands. This is an extremely high-end feeling instrument. And normally on Japanese guitars, I rush to say maybe you should switch to pickups, or I switch to pickups myself. On this one, they're really good stock. I wouldn't have a problem taking this guitar and gigging with it. The fit and finish on top of that, no problems there. The only reason I wouldn't want to gig with a guitar like this is because it's so damn pretty. I would not want to get this guitar nicked up. That's just me. And I've already done enough damage to my 65 Jazzmaster. If I was going to keep this one, it would be a studio guy. It wouldn't go out with me. Now the thing about Jazzmasters, Jaguars, in this kind of price range, if you don't go Mexican and you want to go either Japanese or American, they're not too dissimilar in price. Like the 65 and 62 reissue Jazzmasters from the USA come with American electronics already installed in them, which is nice. They also come with a hard case. Now the Japanese ones come with a gig bag and the Japanese electronics on some of the models. But the custom colors are so much cheaper to get in a Japanese one than on an American one 9 times out of 10. And as far as build quality goes, there's really not a difference between this and the 65. The neck is different, but it's a different shape and a different radius. But outside of that, the actual construction and how it feels in your hand, because I know we've all played expensive guitar. Well, maybe not expensive. Maybe $1,000 is expensive to you. But we've all played cheap guitars. And this guitar does not feel like a cheap guitar. The negatives of this guitar to me are pretty simple. I don't love the vintage bridges on these. I replaced it on my own Jazzmaster. It's just a preference thing. I feel like they slip out of the slots under really hard playing. Haven't had any problems with this guy yet. But other than that, just a hard case. Maybe the pickups. On this one, I actually really like the pickups. So I don't know if I would do that on this time. But other than that, the value is, it's there. It's a little more expensive than a Vintera, but for me, for good reason. There's just something about these. There's just something about that factory in Japan. They do such great work. And I know they've gotten a lot more expensive over the years, but I think there's a reason for that. And I think there's a damn good reason Fender don't offer Japanese guitars for the most part in America. And to me, there's some stuff to think about with why Fender doesn't have more Japanese guitars here. Because price point wise per country, this is the same price as a Vintera almost. It's just way harder to get here, so the prices go way up. I paid way more than I would have paid for the Vintera to get this in. But that being said, they're better guitars. And you can argue all you want, but to me, no chance. If I'm gonna pick between a Japanese and a Mexican model, and they're basically the same specs, there is no way I pick the Mexican model over it. That's just me. So that's gonna wrap it up for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you could leave a like, I would really appreciate that. I know I say it every time, but it is what it is. Leave a comment. Love talking to you guys. Let me know what you think if you have any experience with these guitars, or if you're interested in this guitar, check out the website. It's linked down below. I don't charge sales tax because I'm not an actual store. I'm just a guy that buys and sells guitars. So good for me, good for you. Subscribe if you're not, and I'll see you tomorrow.